Today on CityCast Chicago, Chicago's getting a new head of aviation, while you're probably feeling the property tax burden and cheap cocktails to get through it all. It's Tuesday, May 6th. I'm Simona Licea in for Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. Hey, before we jump into the news, I want to let you know that tomorrow we're going to be dropping a special sponsored episode with the Minocqua Visitors Bureau about all the fun things to do in Minocqua, Wisconsin. Easily drivable in time for the spring, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Today, I'm joined by producer Michelle Navarro. Michelle, welcome back to the mic.
Hey, Simone, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How's your weekend?
The weekend was great. Just a lot of time spent with some kittens, so that was really sweet.
I am a little jealous of the kittens because who doesn't want the cuteness in their life? But I know they can be difficult. They can be a lot of work.
They are in their toddler phase, so it's been fun. They've been keeping me busy for sure.
Are we going to see pictures of the kittens in the Hey Chicago newsletter?
Oh yes, I am dropping very soon. They are learning how to get on their cat tree. They're already getting really high, so I will be dropping photos for sure.
All right, so folks should subscribe at chicago.citycast.fm to see pictures of cute kittens. Well, let's jump into the actual news for this week. It looks like Chicago is about to have a new head of aviation. Mayor Brandon Johnson has tapped Mike McMurray, who previously worked for former Mayor Richard M. Daley before moving into the private sector, working on transportation and infrastructure. McMurray is returning to City Hall at an interesting time. But first, Michelle, can you remind us what happened to the last aviation commissioner?
Yeah, so back in February, Jamie re-announced that she was retiring. Now, this was during a time where there was a bunch of departures of city leaders, and the mayor had basically announced a house cleaning, though Ree's departure seemed like it was already in the works.
Yeah, for his part, McMurray, he was a deputy commissioner for real estate under Daley and is currently the president for transportation and engineering at White & Co., which has been behind some high-profile projects. I know they did like a big ocean exhibit at the Museum of Science and Industry. They've also done some work for the city, various city agencies. So that means he's been on both sides of the contracting, procurement process, and he does still need to be confirmed by city council. But Michelle, as I mentioned, this is kind of an interesting time for airports in Chicago. A lot going on, especially at O'Hare. Remind us just kind of what's in the background here with this new appointment.
Yeah, so there has been this whole expansion project with O'Hare. Last year, the Johnson administration reached an agreement to get it back on track. There were some delays because of COVID. And now that it's back on track, the expansion would include a new global terminal, which is set to come first, and then replacing Terminal 2.
That was the key agreement there because in addition to the sort of COVID delays of the expansion, we also had airlines who were bickering, namely
Right.
United Airlines and American Airlines, over kind of the order of operations. And there were these long, kind of protracted negotiations. But there were, airlines also wanted this global terminal to come first because in this kind of post-pandemic world, the global travel has been the travel that has been really buoying the industry, although, that may also change as sort of tourism trends change. It has been sort of a long and protracted negotiation. And this new person, McMurray, will have to try to keep that on the rails and keep it under or at its $6.1 billion budget, which is already proving to be a difficult task.
Yeah, definitely. And something that McMurray said was like, this is kind of a good thing, right? That these two big airlines are fighting for space in a way at O'Hare.
Despite the fact that American is actually suing the city because some gates were reallocated to United Airlines. American says unfairly so against their current lease agreement. And it's interesting because United and American are two of the biggest airlines. United, of course, actually based here, headquartered here, American headquartered in Dallas, Fort Worth. But it's something like United Airlines accounts for like 40 now with these new reallocations, like 42% of the gate space, whereas American has like 30%. And really trying to get more this sort of trying to appease all the children, I guess, because you've also got in the background, Chicago's kind of worried that United might, skip off to Denver. They bought a bunch of land over there a couple years ago, and they've been saying they have no intention of leaving. They told the governor that, but like, I don't know. I feel like this really reminds me of like Arlington Heights and the Bears. Like, yeah, we bought this land, but who knows what we're gonna do with it? I
Right,
I
right.
don't know.
And we're all
Uh,
tense over here, like, well, why'd you need that land for, though? Why'd you need that land? So of course we're gonna be in the back of our heads. We're gonna be insecure about United leaving, and that would move a lot of people. United employing over 5,000 people, 5,000 Chicagoans potentially, and so that could be a big deal for Chicago if, of course, if they actually do move. Again, they said they have no intention.
Right. It could be a whole do you remember when Amazon did the second headquarters thing? Sort of the co-equal, they're still planning to hire a bunch of people in Denver, but they are not planning to, move shop as of yet. And so we'll see. On top of all this, on top of this sort of existential question about the expansion, about United, the department is also currently fielding bids to operate the restaurants, bars, and shops in O'Hare's domestic terminal. Those bids are due in June. Obviously, a huge deal. Like, there is so much to air travel these days. It's not just like, did my plane get here on time? Did my plane leave on time? Like, that entertainment stuff is a huge deal, especially, when you're being expected to get to flights 2 hours ahead of time, right? Like, you want stuff to do. I don't know, Michelle, what do you think this could mean for, Chicago's largest airport? What used to be the largest airport in the country, busiest airport in the country. Now, of course, I think maybe second or third in the country these days.
But is JFK, you
I
think, the
don't
number
think
one? Now I'm kind
JFK.
of
No, it's
curious.
Atlanta. Atlanta is the busiest.
Oh,
Atlanta is definitely the busiest
I would have
airport.
never guessed that.
They have a lot of connections. Chicago's fifth. So yeah, we are barely cracking the top five these days with 35.8 million passengers, whereas Atlanta has 50.9 million passengers in terms of passenger enplanement. So how many people are actually getting on planes each year?
Yeah, I would love to see Chicago step up their aviation game, get us back to one of the top, at least connecting cities. Because again, it brings in jobs, it brings in money, it's good economy. I want more tourists in the city, even though I'm a local Chicagoan. But I'm kind of excited for this transition just because, I mean, like you mentioned, McMurray has signed contracts on both sides. Of like on behalf of the city, on behalf of vendors that want to work with the city, that want to be in the airports. And so, he kind of said to Cranes, he has experience in engineering, in transportation, his experience in these negotiations, in moving jobs, in procurement. And so I think this is a good pick, and we'll see what happens. If, of course, if and when City Council does make their decision, whether McMurray is the new head. So yeah, hopefully this brings in new energy, and O'Hare can finish their expansion projects, and all our airlines can be happy and stay in Chicago.
Oh, what an optimistic, rosy little prediction. I love that.
You
Uh,
you and Jacoby tend to lean on the cynical side. Let me
we
add some.
do.
Let me add
Well,
some
because
optimism.
I was gonna say it is interesting because, of course, there's always this interesting dynamic with Johnson and his administration because Johnson has come in as a progressive and somebody who is trying to challenge the status quo. And we brought someone in who has sort of inside connections, has been kind of in the thick of it with City Hall again, as you said, on both sides for a while. Does that say anything about Johnson? Not to say anything of McMurray's predecessor, Ree, who had been in the job through with three different mayors, right? So obviously, she also had quite a lot of longevity and experience. And I think in aviation, that can help you, just especially because, just with all the stuff we've named, those negotiations can be so delicate and there are so
hmm
many moving parts. But yeah, a huge A huge appointment for Johnson, particularly with regards to sort of the economic health of the city, one of the biggest economic engines that the city has. And so we'll be curious to see how all this stuff shakes out. Hey, it's executive producer Simone Alicea here, and I want to let you know about what's happening at the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts in Skokie. They've got a packed season with some unique shows that I don't think you'll want to miss. If you got a mom who's a Taylor Swift fan, on Mother's Day, May 11th, they're running Taylor Shines The Laser Spectacular. Yes, that is a laser light show set to T Swift hits. Swifties are also going to have another chance to celebrate her music in September when Vitamin String Quartet performs arrangements of Taylor Swift songs from Bridgerton, so you can live out your Bridgerton ball fantasies. If you're looking for something a little more contemplative, Bill W. and Dr. Bob opens May 30th. It's about the actual founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's a raw, moving, and inspiring story. But of course, you know me, I'm all about the games. So I've got my eye on Clue, a walking mystery in July. It's a live action, interactive experience inspired by the board game. And come on, I absolutely think I could solve the mystery, assuming I'm not the one who did it, I guess. I'd much rather solve the mystery. You can check out the full lineup and grab your tickets now at northshorecenter.org.
I talk about my moms all the time on the show, so y'all know how much I love Mama T, but I'm gonna be real, buying gifts for her can be a little tough, right? When she sees something, she like it, she just get it. So for her recent birthday, I needed something that said, I appreciate you, I love you, I'm thinking about you all the time, and I ultimately landed on the Aura frame. It's a digital picture frame. In fact, it's the best digital photo frame according to the people over at Wirecutter. My mom sees it every day on the table in her entryway. I've uploaded photos of some of our favorite family moments together, like a huge throwback of all of us together at Kalahari up in the dunes, a recent one with my siblings and my mom at a Bulls game. I got a picture with our grandparents. Plus, anybody can add pictures from wherever they live, and she'll see them almost immediately and know we're thinking about her. Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day coming up. For a limited time, listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver matte frame. That's Aura, A-U-R-A, frames.com, promo code CityCast. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
A new report from the Cook County Treasurer's Office shows an imbalance in our property tax appeals system. It's leaving the county's lowest income homeowners paying more. Michelle, what does this report say exactly?
Yeah, so this report on Monday revealed that Cook County's property tax appeal system disproportionately burdens lower income Black and Latino homeowners while shaving off businesses' tax bills. So this is like a nearly 2 billion in property taxes shifted onto homeowners from businesses in just 3 years. A complete 3-year assessment cycle was done from 2021 to 2023, and businesses got 3.3 billion off total billed across Cook County, which is about 20%. So they got 20% off their tax bills, while homeowners had to pay over 1.9 billion more. This is about 16% more. The study also found income and race disparities, right? So with homeowners in higher income areas appealing more than low income areas. They kind of took two neighborhoods kind of to make like a more specific example. And I was really interested in this because one of them is Gage Park, the neighborhood I grew up in, and also the neighborhood where my parents have owned a home for over 20 years. And they said, Gage Park is a low income majority Latino area on the southwest side where only 5.2% of homeowners contested their assessments. Tax bills rose nearly 23% after appeals. In North Center, which is a predominantly white, high income area, 60% of homeowners appealed their assessments and tax bills rose less than 15%. So in total, right, when we look at business owners and we compare them to homeowners and what percentages appeal, business owners appeal 64% of the time, Homeowners appeal 27% of the time. And of course, the Board of Review grants these assessed value reductions. The Board of Review Commissioner, George Cardenas, says that the issues stem from the system, right? Like if they weren't being over assessed, like if their tax bills
If they were accurately assessed in the first place, then you wouldn't have
to
so many
appeal.
people appealing to reduce those valuations and therefore potentially reduce your bill.
Exactly. And basically he's saying, if property owners appealed, then it'll get fixed. And it just happens to be that business owners and wealthy white homeowners tend to appeal more. And so he's basically saying, like, hey, if you have a problem with how much your tax bills are, your property tax bills, you should, take the steps to appeal and figure it out kind of on your own. Which, as the appeal system, it's not very easy, right? You have to do it within 30 days of your deadline. Like
it is not necessarily apparent or intuitive to anybody, because I just want to take a step back here and remind folks kind of how our property tax system works. Basically, what we're talking about here in terms of appeals is you're appealing the valuation. You're appealing when the assessor says, here's how much your property is worth. That number helps to determine what your final property tax bill will be, because, right, all those levies, et cetera, all these different taxing districts are taxing on a percentage of that valuation, right? So if your property is worth more, you pay more. Sounds great in theory, right? But the trick is that you can appeal those valuations if you think the assessor didn't do a good job, if you think they were inaccurate. And what's happening here is that commercial property owners, business owners, in addition to wealthier homeowners, tend to be the ones who are appealing those valuations. Fundamentally, if commercial property owners are paying less, residential property owners are paying more. And there just is sort of no two ways around that. That just is the way the system is set up. And so, Michelle, to your point of sort of this idea of like, oh, well, residential property owners should just appeal more. Sure, maybe that's true. But wouldn't it be better if we just had a more transparent system where it was clear kind of what the costs of things were and how those things were valued
Exactly.
and assessed from the jump? And you have the treasurer's office saying, look, like, this is one of the reasons why we saw those huge property tax increases in the South suburbs. Probably in the next cycle of bills, we're going to see even bigger gaps within the city. This is one of those reasons, is because of this imbalance in appeals and valuation. So it's something that's sort of worth watching as we think of overall cost burdens in this city, the property tax burden overall. This is just one of those things that, like, it is weird and a little niche and complicated, but does fundamentally impact kind of your cost of living in this city in a very kind of clear way.
Yeah, definitely. And there is one bill currently proposed in the Illinois Senate, which would help grant some property tax relief to residents in properties valued under $350,000 and making less than the state median adjusted gross income. And so, like you mentioned, it just seems like it's kind of against homeowners at the moment. And unless you have the time and the dedication and the resources, I guess, to follow through with that appeals process.
I mean, there are whole law firms whose entire business is property tax appeals.
Yeah. And it's just like there's people who like cannot afford an attorney to do all that for them. And so it just shows that business owners and white Chicagoans in higher income areas are very successful.
Or at least they're more likely to take the action to do it.
Exactly.
Hey, CityCast. Something I appreciate about the Cozy Earth Mother's Day sale is that they know motherhood looks different on everyone. So whether you're raising kids, dogs, or cane, all moms work hard and they deserve comfort. So let me tell you about these Cozy Earth sheets. They feel like cool water in a sort of, is this the Ritz-Carlton or my own bedroom kind of way. The pajamas are what I imagine celebrity moms sleep in, buttery soft. You're looking for the right gift because the women who raised you feel like home, and they are going to love Cozy Earth bamboo pajamas, and I know this because it's 3:24 p.m. and I'm still wearing mine. To celebrate moms everywhere, Cozy Earth is supporting your favorite local podcast and giving our listeners a special promo. 45% off site-wide. This is a luxury brand, and that is a mind-blowing deal. Use Cozy Chicago to take advantage of 45% off at CozyEarth.com.
It was funny, Michelle, during our membership campaign, which we just wrapped up, I kept saying that, the $10 a month it takes to become a CityCast Chicago neighbor is less than like most cocktails you're going to find out at bars in Chicago, which I still think is true. But a dedicated Redditor from Lincoln Square has done us all a huge public service by putting together a spreadsheet, a Google Sheets, with cocktails under $8. Michelle, who did this and how can we thank her?
Yes, biggest shout out to Lauren Keene, who put together a cheap Chicago cocktail spreadsheet and shared it on Reddit, like you mentioned. And Block Club asked her, why'd she do this? And she pointed to the economy, like you just mentioned, saying that, most people are looking for a deal. I mean, we just talked about property taxes being one thing that may burden a Chicagoan if you're a homeowner. If not that, maybe the whole building's property tax, which may cause, your landlord to raise your rent. And so city living can be pricey, especially now in the times that we're in. And so finding this list was, to me personally, very delightful. And I'm really glad Block Club Chicago was able to point more of us towards it. This list contains over 100 bars and places where you can get those drinks. So it kind of talks about the different deals, the hours, if there's a patio available, and even the list to link. So it is a very, very helpful spreadsheet. Simone, what were some of your favorites on the list?
Yeah, I feel this is an abundance of riches for me, since I think pretty much all of the neighborhoods here are, with just a couple of exceptions, are North Side neighborhoods. But in Andersonville, Lonesome Rose is a $5 margarita. I am really excited for these margarita deals because that feels like an actual cocktail to me. Because a lot of these are like well drinks,
Right. Like
or
gin and
like
tonic, soda,
or like
and vodka or whatever. Yeah.
or like a specific liquor, right, that they're offering for, on one day or whatever. But a margarita feels like a real cocktail. Lonesome Rose offers a $5 margarita during a happy hour Monday through Friday. And so I think that that just feels like a super clutch deal. Also, I happen to know that the food's pretty good over there. Pretty tasty, and it's great for groups as well. So that one was definitely on my list. Another one that I have to shout out, of course, is Simone's in Pilsen. I'm always going to shout out Simone's in Pilsen when I can. It's obviously one of my favorite spots, but they do $4 well drinks all day on Thursday. I love that it's not time bound. I love it's not a happy hour because Lord knows. Simone says $4 well drinks all day on Thursday. I like that it's not time bound. I made it to a happy hour once on Friday. Like this Friday, I made it to a happy hour and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, why am I not doing this all the time? And it's because I work from home and there's not really I don't leave my apartment soon enough to make it to happy hour. But yeah, those were two that definitely caught my eye. What about you, Michelle?
I mean, in the same area in Pilsen Yards, they have their half off all draft cocktails. I already knew this because I love their Bisco Punch there, which they have on draft. And so this is during happy hours, so from 3 to 5:30 during the week, and then 3 to 4:30 on Saturday and Sundays. Another place I really love is Quality Time. Quality Time in Avondale has $3 bourbon and tequila shots if you want to get a little wild, I guess. But they also have $5 gin and tonics. Gin and tonic is kind of my favorite well drink. That's usually what I get when I want something cheap and I don't know how the place is, so I'll just get that automatically, I guess. But they have that until 7 p.m., which is kind of like on the later spectrum of the happy hour, and that's Monday through Friday. The last spot I really enjoy going to is Easy Inn in Ukrainian Village. They have $6 cocktails, 5 to 8, which I think is a steal, and that's Sunday through Wednesday. So even on a Sunday, if you're out and about.
Wow.
$6 cocktails is a fabulous deal. And
Until 8 p.m. is so clutch.
they have great cocktails too. I really love their cocktails there. And so that's a cool place to be, Sunday to Wednesday.
I almost don't want to put this one out on blast because this is I want we work really hard not to gatekeep over here at CityCast Chicago. But Fat Cat here in Uptown on Broadway on Wednesdays does $7 Manhattan's Old Fashioned Mules, Paper Planes, Whiskey Sours. And so I'm a whiskey girl. So that is one of my favorite deals. And so, and also their food is really good. That deal is from 4 to 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. They also have another Thursday deal with $7 select martinis. Martini is not my drink. So if you want to go on Thursday, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I don't like martinis either.
But the Manhattan and a whiskey sour, I like high up on my
I love a
list
whiskey
of
sour.
cocktails,
Mhm.
among my favorites. And so now Fat Cat on Wednesdays. It's a great little spot. Well, a couple of Southside spots that our host Jacoby Cochran would be remiss if we didn't mention. I don't know if they're doing deals on their drinks for specific days or times, but generally can find a very heavy pour for a very good price. Cookies Cocktail Lounge on 79th and JNR Lounge on 83rd. Again, if you're looking for that dive bar atmosphere, there's so many I think that's the other thing. The other trick with Chicago is there are so many dive bars that are local to the neighborhood that you're not going to find their deals on Instagram or online necessarily, but because you've passed by and you live there. I also think the other trick with this list that makes it interesting is because I do think there are plenty of beer shot combos that you can find for under $10, even under $8. But cocktails are tough. It's actually it's much tougher to find that either a a nice cocktail or even, again, those well drinks, those sort of mixed drinks that for a good price.
I know. I'm like, I was trying to find, because I agree, it was just, I was finding obviously handshakes, just beer and a shot deals, but cocktails are hard. Or the places that I thought of, I'm like, oh, I go there. I'll look it up and their cocktail on their happy hour deal was a $10 cocktail.
I know, you get a lot of $10 cocktails.
There's a lot of $10 cocktails too. So if you have the extra $2, I mean, go ahead. But an $8 cocktail sounds like, oh my God, it's basically free.
It's the girl math. It's free. It's basically
the cocktail
free.
Is free. Yeah.
Totally. $10. I think $10 is a really solid price for a cocktail. I think $13 is what I'm willing to pay for a nicer mixed drink. Once you start getting into $15, $17,
18.
$20, $23, which is not, it's pretty common. It
is really common, actually. Yeah.
It is very common. Trying to be a cocktail girly in this city is, it's hard on your wallet. But once again, I will point out, membership, $10 a month. You can, it's one decent-ish cocktail every month. And of course, you get to support CityCast Chicago. I would be remiss if I didn't say you can join at membership.citycast.fm, but I'm not gonna do the hard sell here today. Michelle, thanks so much for hopping on the mic and talking about the news with me.
Thanks, Simone.
Before we let you go, I have another round of thank yous for our newest CityCast Chicago neighbors. Hang in there. Got a long list this time. Thanks so much to Patrick L., Lydia E., Jess C., Riley W., Stacy G., Matt W., Joseph A., Grace H., Edward C., Donna R., Gina H., Michelle W., Michael G., Becky L., Sam M., Julie W., and Vanessa K. Because of you and the support of all of our members, we get to keep this thing going. Of course, you can join them anytime at membership.citycast.fm. And some good news to get you through. A super special thanks to new neighbor Eve Ewing, author, poet, and friend of the show. And we want to say congratulations on buying Build Coffee in Woodlawn with City Bureau co-founder Andrea Faye Hart and the Invisible Institute's Trina Reynolds Tyler, who's another friend of the show. We love seeing good things happen for our friends and for the neighborhood. They'll be officially taking over this summer, and an anniversary celebration for Build is set for June 28th. Tomorrow, Jacoby and I are going to be visiting a home garden and getting some tips, so you're not going to want to miss that. Then, make sure you're watching the feed because we're going to be dropping a special sponsored episode with the Minocqua Visitors Bureau a little later in the day. Minocqua is just north of Madison, Wisconsin, and is home to lots of fun stuff, but you'll find out all about it tomorrow. We'll be back bright and early in your feeds. We'll talk to you then.
I am losing my mind over these kittens, no lie. A lot of patience. A lot of patience.
Toddlers take a lot of patience.